Heading for the tunnels, Lieutenant Matthews scrambles to assist as many personnel as possible. Whether injured or not, all personnel need to evacuate, and they need to do so as expeditiously as possible. No further lives need to be lost. If only they can make it to the tunnels.
Lieutenant.
An injured ensign calls out as Lieutenant Matthews runs past a section of rubble which had collapsed during the last barrage. Turning around just prior to coming to a full stop causes Lieutenant Matthews to lose her balance. She grabs hold of the piece of pipe hanging down at an angle just within her reach to keep her from tumbling to the ground.
Get hold of yourself, Bren.
She yells at herself without saying an audible word.
Ensign.
Lieutenant Matthews recognizes the ensign as one of the new recruits recently added to the team of medical engineers.
Let me help you out of there.
Lieutenant Matthews says solemnly as she starts to dig the ensign's leg out from under the rubble.
Don't worry about me, Lieutenant,
replies the ensign. Lieutenant Matthews sees that the ensign's eyes are glazed over and realizes that the ensign is in shock. She then realizes in the low light just how pale the ensign is and realizes that there must be something seriously wrong with her.
Don't talk like that, Tasha.
She calls her by her first name. This is generally not standard protocol. However, the situation seems to warrant a soothing voice to ease her pain.
You'll be just fine. Just let me get this off your legs so we can get you out of here.
As the lieutenant attempts to lift the fallen rubble from the ensign's legs, she realizes just how overly heavy it is. The ensign lets out a blood-curdling scream which startles the lieutenant and causes her to lose her grip, dropping the rubble the few millimeters she was able to lift it.
I'm sorry, Tasha,
the lieutenant exclaims as she tries to hold herself together.
Please, LT, you need to get yourself out of here. I won't be making it this time,
she answers. Her eyes are barely able to focus on the lieutenant's face.
I need for you to do one thing for me.
Lieutenant Matthews knows what is coming and braces herself mentally for it, as she lightly strokes the ensign's face and wipes the blood and hair away.
LT, can you please tell my mother that I love her? Tell her I did pass my test and was assigned to the unit I have wanted to join my entire career, as short as it was.
Lieutenant Matthews no longer hears her surroundings. She no longer hears the explosions, the cannon, or rocket fire from the enemy ship in orbit. She only hears the ensign's voice now as she watches her life and color slowly drain from her face.
I will, Tasha. Anything else?
No, Mom. It was a pleasure to serve with you,
the ensign exclaims softly as her breaths become short and shallow.
All right, Tasha. I will stay here with you then until I need to leave if that is okay with you.
Yes, Mom. That suits me just fine,
the ensign says, barely able to speak now. As the lieutenant continues to stroke the ensign's cheek and hair, she now starts to hear her surroundings come back to her. The wall section from where she had come prior to stopping to assist the ensign has now collapsed and smoke has started filling the corridor. The lieutenant starts to realize her time is limited, and that she needs to think about moving on to the tunnels as soon as possible.
You aren't going anywhere, Bren. Not until Tasha is at peace.
She yells at herself within her own mind. She starts to feel sorry for the thought when the ensign's hand reaches up and cups her own, then holds it against the lieutenant's cheek. A tear rolls down the ensign's face as the life leaves her body. The ensign's facial expressions change, and for the first time since she stopped to assist, Lieutenant Matthews sees that Tasha Thomas, Ensign First Class, has finally made her peace and no longer feels any pain. The lieutenant allows a few tears to roll down her own cheek now as she closes the ensign's eyes and lays her hands down softly.
Goodbye, Tasha. May your next life prove to be filled with happiness.
With that, the lieutenant stands and wipes her face with the back of her hands. She realizes there is blood covering her hands and wipes them on her uniform pants, trying her best to get them as clean as possible. The lieutenant then turns and resumes her initial route towards the tunnels. As she rounds the next corner, she hears an explosion behind her. Fearful of turning back for confirmation, she knows that where she was just kneeling over the ensign no longer exists, and is now filled with a burning mass of material.